Welcome to the Bitchy Hour. Audacity required, people pleasing not permitted. Now breathe deep and press play on your power. Let's get into this. Welcome to the first official episode of the Bitchy Hour, acronymed TBH podcast. And the reason that I started this podcast is because I was noticing in my own life that I essentially was too nice for way too long. And as a result of that, people play it in my face. And maybe people are playing in your face too. Unfortunately, people don't seem to respect you when you put on this nice act because it is in fact that. It's an act. You can't keep up that act for too long without abandoning yourself. And I was completely abandoning myself because I was so concerned about what others thought about me that I wasn't even thinking about how I thought about me. And how I thought about me was not very good because I didn't really like myself all that much. And as I've begun to like myself even more, I've recognized how, in all honesty, most of the people in my life are not really on my vibe. And it's not to say that I'm better than them. It's just to say that we're different. I think we all come into families and we have some work to do, whether it's karma or whatever you believe in. I think that we learn lessons with the people that are in our families, that are in our immediate vicinities. And you can either choose to stay there and not really expand from there, or you can decide, I'm actually going to do something different with my life. I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to rise to my highest potential. And that's essentially what I decided to do. Because when you are doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, and that different result isn't gonna come ever because you're literally insane because you're not changing the way you operate. I mean, the only choice that you have left is literally to do something new. And that's what I decided to do. So this episode is called The Void is the Portal because one of the things that I'm currently going through right now is a major, massive transformation because over the past few weeks and months especially, I have been letting go of a lot of things that no longer align with me, okay? And it can be very difficult when you're going through this process because you wonder, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? All of the things that used to bring me comfort aren't bringing me comfort anymore. What the hell do I do? And if you're feeling that way in your life right now, I want you to know you are not alone, okay? You are not at all. And you are not broken either. You're just in between worlds. And being in between worlds is almost harder than being in one world or being another because you're really unsure as to what the hell is going on. And as I'm going through this void, or as I'm in this void, I'm also recognizing the dynamics around me and the role I played in them, the role I currently play in them as well. And also kind of just analyzing the place that I was really in my life that I literally couldn't see because I was so steeped in it. And if you know anything about that, you know, like being so entrenched in a specific worldview, you can't necessarily see that your worldview isn't the only way. And that is pretty much what I'm experiencing right now. So a few weeks back, I quit smoking weed. I just decided, you know what? I don't like this. This is not for me. Actually, I'll tell you the honest truth of what happened. So essentially, I had gotten back from Europe maybe a week prior, and I was going to smoke with a family member of mine. And I did. And like the next day I got so sick. I think it was actually the beginning of Love Island. Okay. I think Love Island started on like June 1st or June 2nd, something around there. We're like 3 or 4 weeks in by this time. And I smoked that day. And like literally the next day I got so sick. Okay. My throat was hurting me and I just wasn't feeling good. And I was like, wow, this must be a sign from the universe that I'm not supposed to do that, because I had been going back and forth, smoking here, not smoking there, and kind of like ping-ponging. And I would take months at a time off. But even though I knew I didn't really resonate with it, I knew that a major way for me to connect with the people around me was for me to smoke weed. You know what I mean? And it was just so normalized in my life that I didn't recognize how detrimental it truly was to me. And let's be honest here. We've all experienced that in our lives. You hang out with certain people, you know they're not your people, but because you're so afraid to truly move on and go in a different direction because you don't fully know what that direction is yet, you cling on to what you know at the detriment of yourself. And that's exactly what I was doing. A few months before that, I actually quit vaping. So ever since I was about 18, 19 maybe, I have been vaping. So when I started vaping was maybe 2014, 2015. And I would literally go to one of those vape shops and pick the liquid that I wanted and choose how much of the nicotine that I wanted in it as well. So it could be stronger or weaker. It was actually fun to vape back then because it was a whole culture around it. And you got these big ass contraptions. Okay, they weren't necessarily always big, but some of them were kind of big. And you'd get the different oils that you would then smoke. Now, obviously, people just go to a drugstore, not a drugstore, but even a gas station, and you can go, or a smoke shop, and you can just go and pick out a vape and it already has the flavor in it, and you just choose which vape and flavor you want, and you're not going through the whole process of getting the liquid, and there's a whole culture and you're trying it out in the store. It's a whole different vibe now. And I was just recognizing I don't like this. There's nothing that I get from this. It's absolutely disgusting. Why am I doing this? And I realized a major reason why I was doing that was because the people that I was surrounding myself with, I was also bored. Let me be honest about that. I was bored. I was in my room and I'm just going to smoke. I love smoking, right? Because I have been smoking weed, or I had been smoking weed since I was about 16, 17, not consistently until I was around 17. And then, like I said, throughout the years, I have very much taken months off of smoking weed. So it's not as integral to my identity that I was leading myself to believe for so long. And I remember at one point I was thinking oh my God, I'm just a smoker. I'll always be a smoker. So to be sitting here now and sharing with you that I am not a smoker at all, it just goes to show that depending on who you hang around, you are going to see a different side of yourself, okay? And that's why I think as I'm in this void, as I'm really figuring out who is Sidni, what does she like, what does she want to do, I'm recognizing all the ways that I tricked myself into believing that I was someone that I was not, and reflecting on that and being honest with yourself and coming to terms with that. It is a lot. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not, okay? And this is a bit of an ego death and an identity loss that I have been going through, okay? I feel like I've gone through many spiritual ego deaths, okay? Many. And one of the more recent ones that I went, other than me deciding that I'm actually not a smoker and I literally hate the smell of weed smoke, it's disgusting. And I think once you stop smoking, you realize how gross it is. It's such a disgusting habit, from rolling up, and you have the tobacco if you want to spliff, and then the bongs and the bowls, and just how gross they get with all of the the resin that's in them, and how they become so black, right? So dark, almost like tar. And I never really thought about this, but if you're smoking out of a bowl, if you're smoking out of a bong, those things get so dirty. And I never really made the connection in my mind that if it gets so dirty in this glass bowl or bong, imagine what it's doing to my lungs. Imagine what it's doing to your lungs if you're doing that, right? It's disgusting. And I've been on this health journey for quite some time. And I think that's part of the reason why I decided this isn't for me. So at the same time, when I was not feeling so well after that day that I had smoked, I also had just recently started going through bar teacher training. I'm still in the thick of it right now. ideally in the next 2 weeks, I will graduate and officially become a bar teacher. But until then, I'm not yet, but I am in the process, right? You have to step into the identity of who you say you are. Let's be real here, okay? And I was just recognizing like, okay, if I'm going to be healthier, if I'm going to be teaching fitness classes to people, like I have to embody that fully. And is smoking weed really in alignment with that? Oh, wait. No, it's not. Also, drinking often is not in alignment with that. And I've been finding that I have not been drinking often either. I have really been on this complete health and wellness journey. And I walk daily. I go to exercise classes. Like earlier today, I went to Soul Cycle. I had such an awesome time. I actually love Soul Cycle. I'll likely go to a bar class tomorrow. I was supposed to have a training session today, but it got canceled because my lead teacher, she was stuck in traffic, which honestly was kind of a blessing in disguise because I did end up doing some studying for an hour before I was even supposed to meet with her. So it was just kind of nice, I think. But because I had decided, oh yeah, I really want to release 2 podcasts a week. I want to start on Monday. I want it to be Monday and Thursday. I did not really give myself time earlier to do that because, I went to spin this morning and then I came home, I ate, I was doing practice or study for bar teacher training. So this was just like a perfect time and it felt like the universe gave me this opportunity to do this right now and was kind of seeing like what I would do with it because I could very easily, instead of making this podcast right now, I could be fucking around, okay? I could be on TikTok scrolling till the cows come home or on YouTube watching videos that are not relevant to what I need to be doing. And I think this is part of me being in the void because I have been noticing that I have been choosing the things that are contributing to the future that I want to and am creating versus being the old version of me that kind of would twiddle their thumbs and hope that things were going to come to them. But if you're not putting in the actions to get there, you can't really expect for anything to happen. And that's a message to anyone out there. If you believe that you can just sit in your room and imagine till the cows come home, nothing is going to happen unless you have inspired action. That is true, okay? It's the truth. And as you are in this void and you are leveling up in your life, you are also going to recognize that you're going to have to spend more time alone. You're going to have to really lock into whatever it is that your dreams are. And at times, it will seem like nothing is working, okay? And I actually made a TikTok video about this earlier, how when you're about to break through is the exact moment when everything looks like it's going and getting worse, okay? Like I had a moment earlier yesterday, I had a moment, I had created a few TikTok videos and all of them were just getting 0 views, okay? And I was just like, okay, like what the hell is happening here? Like usually I get at least 200. Why am I getting 0 views on these videos? And I was just like, you know what? This must mean that I'm on the brink of something because it feels like the universe is kind of testing me to see whether or not I'm going to pay too much attention to what my reality is saying to me or if I'm going to ignore it and continue to put in the work. And that's literally what you have to do when you're in the void. You have to continue to put in the work. If you drop the ball and you say, what's the point? I shouldn't be doing this. Then you failed the test, okay? You are allowing your old frequency, your old identity to keep its foot on your neck. And you don't want it to do that, okay? And this has been a very interesting lesson for me, I guess, because again, this kind of goes back to the polarity or the difference between scarcity and alignment. So scarcity ultimately wants you to look out into your world and be like, oh my gosh, like I wish I was here. I wish I had that. Right? Versus the alignment energy is, okay, I'm in this moment right now. What can I do that is aligned to the identity that I say I am choosing? If you are deciding that you're a bar teacher now, Shouldn't you be practicing the material so that you can become the best bar teacher that you can be? Yes. If you are saying that you are a podcast host, shouldn't you be working on your podcast, whether it's coming up with episode ideas, recording the episodes? Yes. If you say that you're a YouTuber, then you should be making YouTube videos, okay? Whatever it is in your life, you have to really look at yourself and ask yourself the question, am I in alignment with that identity that I'm claiming, or am I not? And whenever you are looking around you and you're focused on what you don't have, what you believe you lack, you are in scarcity energy. And scarcity energy is only going to manifest more scarcity, because what you focus on is ultimately what expands. And this is something that I just know is true, because when I am focused on the life that I want to create and I'm actively creating it, I feel better anyway. Like, I don't feel bad. Like, things could come into my reality that I don't necessarily love, but because I'm so focused on where I'm going, that doesn't even matter. It literally is irrelevant. Right? So you have to get into alignment with the identity that you say you have and just act from that. Act like that person right now, because you can be that person right now. So why aren't you being that person right now? So going back to a change that I made a few months back, I think it's probably like 2 or 3 months back now, I decided to try out being in corporate, because I had been in corporate once before in my life, and it was during one summer where I worked in marketing analytics at New York Life, and I literally hated my life that summer, but I was making a lot of money. Okay, like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was making like $25 an hour, and I fucking hated my life. Okay, I was so bored, and it felt like they wanted me to go so slow with everything, and I'm the type of person whereby I need to be doing different things all the time. Otherwise, I get really bored. And when I get bored, when I'm not mentally stimulated, I can crash out. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it with you. Like, I can literally crash out if I feel like my day is too monotonous. And I think that's one of the reasons why I am very happy to be doing this bar teacher training. But we're going to get back into that in a little bit. So essentially, I worked for this company for legit a month, where I was in corporate sales, and I had to go out and actually find all the prospects myself. I had to get on the phone with them. I had to email them. I had to send LinkedIn messages to them. And after about a month of this, I realized, holy fuck, if this is going to be my life, I am literally going to die early. Like, I cannot do this. I don't know how people do this. So I left. And what really led me to leave was I was just realizing, like, this is not the life that I want. Like, who cares if I'm being paid a lot of money if I hate my life, you know? And I feel like so many of us have been there. And the thing was, right, largely the way that you would get paid from this job is through commissions. You didn't get a lot in terms of your base salary. Like, I think your base salary each month was like $3,000 or something. It wasn't a lot. So it's like, if I'm getting $3,000 a month and I have to bust my ass, come to this place for 5 days a week from 9 to 5, I was also getting there early, staying late sometimes, and I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. Like, what's literally the point of this, right? And I was just thinking about all the people I was around, and like, it didn't really feel like people really cared about the product that we were selling. It very much felt like people were just in it for the money. And like, that's fine for some people, but it wasn't fine for me. It was not heart aligned whatsoever. Okay. And it was very much me being in a scarcity energy, the reason why I was there in the first place. And I was able to identify this. And once I became fully aware to that, I started to make my exit plan. So I had been getting these emails from Pure Bar, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And they're out there looking for teachers, and they had some other jobs that they were hiring for. So just on a whim, I woke up on, I want to say like a Tuesday or a Wednesday morning, and I emailed. I was like, hey, like, I'm really interested in this, would love to become a bar teacher, da da da. So I get an email back around lunchtime, and they were like, yeah, we'd love to have you audition, like go through the process, like let's do it. And when I got that email is when I decided I'm quitting my job. Okay. I decided at that moment that I was done, and I was never, and when I say never, I was never going back to corporate, babe, because corporate is not for me. And so I quit, and maybe like less than a week later is when I left for Europe because I had to go to a wedding for my cousin. So I was in Porto in Portugal, and then from there I went to Lisbon, then I was in Barcelona, and then I was in Madrid. So I went to Lisbon and Barcelona with my sister and her girlfriend, and then I was in Madrid by myself, and then I went back to the US. And once I actually got back to the US, actually before I even left for Portugal, I did my audition for bar teacher training. When I was in Porto is when I found out that I was accepted to be a teacher and I'd be going through the training process. So when I got back from my travels is when I then went and started training. But I had also applied to be a front desk person, so I was doing that in the meantime too. So I still believe in my heart that I was operating from a bit of a place of scarcity, because I have really not, or I think I'm more so there now, where I guess I didn't believe that I could really make money on my own, like doing content creation, which is why I was seeking out all of these jobs, because I had done this before, right? Like years ago in like 2020, 2021, I had a YouTube channel that I had gotten to over 8,000 subscribers, and I was monetized and I was making money from it. But I think I began to self-sabotage, and I also really became hyper fixated on the fact that my views had gone down because I had made a video that went very viral. Like I had gotten like 300,000 views on this video, or over 300,000 views on this video, but it was in a specific niche of like me talking about walking away from the Democratic Party. And at this point in time, like in all honesty, I'm kind of apolitical. Like I don't really care about either. I just know I don't fuck with the Democrats. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So if you fuck with the Democrats and you're triggered by that, like maybe I'm not the person for you, like whatever. But I just realized like I don't like the like rhetoric of them. I don't like how they pit people against each other. I just feel like they're destroying this country. So I just had a eureka moment, and I shared that, and it went very viral because this was like during 2020 when that election was going on, and then I was on some podcasts and some other things, and I was just very much in the content creation thing. But one thing that I noticed is like, even though that might be an aspect of what I believe in and what I align with, I'm not into politics, okay? Like, I don't want to be in politics. I have no desire for that to be my career. So it just felt like I was very much pigeonholed into doing that type of content, and it just really didn't resonate. So at a certain point later down the line, I did end up just deleting that channel because I was like, I don't resonate with this. And that was kind of dumb, maybe looking back on it. But I think there was a part of me that had faith that I would be able to recreate it if I really wanted to, from a place of alignment as opposed to from a place of ego, because that's what it was. Like I was creating content that I knew would do well, and it was really feeding my ego. But if you're feeding your ego, then you're not feeding your soul, okay? You're not. And it's just kind of better to sometimes blow shit up to the ground so that you can start fresh. And that's exactly what I did. Right? So ever since then, I've kind of just been trying to figure out what is my lane, what am I doing? I've done some babysitting gigs, I've worked at clothing stores, and I have a whole other story with that, okay? A clothing store that I worked at where it felt like I was enemy number one to the manager, who at one point I thought we were friends, but then, we weren't because I stuck up for myself. Crazy. Anyway, so then after that, I went into corporate for a month, decided, oh my God, fuck this. I absolutely hate this. And then now we're here where I'm becoming a bar teacher, and it's a very spiritual journey for me. It's something that I was not expecting, in all honesty. Like, I didn't think me becoming a bar teacher would make me question so many things about myself, and also make me get rid of a lot of things that I was kind of holding on to out of, I don't know what I would say, like how I would describe it. I think a lot of the habits that I had were tied to an old version of myself, and I was definitely clinging onto it for comfort. But I think when you start to go through the spiritual journey of becoming a teacher, because when you become a teacher, right, like you're leading people, even if it's in a fitness class, like in some sense, you have to be able to lead yourself, right? And not even in some sense, you have to be able to lead yourself. You have to be able to study. You have to be able to be on top of your craft so that you can actually be the leader in the room and people trust you. You have to have confidence that you can actually do the thing that you're up there doing. And I was just recognizing throughout this journey, like especially lately, that I have been putting off a lot of my studying in a lot of ways, because it is literally me realizing that I'm becoming a different person. And I think my ego very much does not like it. Like, it wants me to stay the same. It wants me to resort to the things that have always given me comfort, but not necessarily in a good way, because it knows it, it can predict it. And maybe that's the case in your life as well, okay? Like, it is very hard to change and become a different person, and especially when you're doing it on your own, when you're the only person in your immediate environment who is doing that and everyone else is kind of doing what they're doing. It takes so much strength, like inner strength, to walk that path alone. And I think that is part of the void, right? And why it is a portal, because you can either decide to sit in the void and analyze yourself, analyze your past actions, make new decisions, or you can sit in the void, decide you don't like it, and go back to the past, right? So I have been making the conscious decision that I want something different. I don't want what I had in the past, because I already know what that is and I don't like it, okay? So if I don't like what I've experienced, then I have to do something different. I have to be someone different. So when it comes to what I'm doing now in my life and how I'm moving now, the past few days I've been at least putting in an hour when it comes to my bar teacher training, because it's like, I know that when I don't want to do something, that's exactly when I need to do something. And that's exactly when you need to do something. If you get home from work and you're like, oh, like I don't want to work out, like working out would be the worst thing right now, that's when you need to work out the most, okay? You need to teach yourself, teach your nervous system that it's safe for you to do hard things, because it is. You don't always have to just sit on your ass and do the easy thing, because when you do the hard thing, or when you do the easy thing, life gets harder. When you do the hard thing, life gets easier, all right? Like, and I just think about whenever I go to my teaching sessions and I actually have been studying consistently, it's so much better. I feel so much more confident. No shit, Sidni, because you're actually doing the work, right? I'm not just saying things, oh, I didn't study, because I would say that sometimes when I would go to these training sessions. I'm like, yeah, honestly, like I did not get to study, but it's like I didn't make the time to study. I know what I need to do. You know what you need to do. So you need to do it. Stop sitting on your ass waiting for things to change if you're not willing to be the one to change, okay? It's just the harsh reality. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is how I really am putting so much work into myself, and I'm not allowing myself to have those excuses anymore. Like earlier, something actually happened. So before I was even going to study for bar teacher training today, because I knew I had a session in like an hour and a half. So I was like, you know what? I want to do a little bit of studying before I have to actually meet up with my lead teacher. That way I can feel a bit more on top of all of this material. So as I was studying, I think I was going through like the first part of choreo that I was memorizing at the moment. And I was done with it. And I was just like, oh, like, I don't want to do this. And I was feeling kind of like sensual or whatever, right? And I was like, oh, like maybe I'll just watch porn or something like that. But then I sat with that feeling and I was like, what is that feeling right now? What is the reason why I really want to do that? Oh, I want to distract myself. Oh, I want a dopamine hit. Oh, I want to feel this way, when instead I should be pouring into my dreams and that will give me the same thing. It won't be instant gratification, but in the long term, it will give me what I truly am desiring. And that's why it's so important to have discipline. And that's why it's also very important to be self-aware of the habits that you have that you use as a means to distract yourself. And I think there's so many things that we do. We go on social media, we eat, we hang out with people who we know we don't really resonate with. We watch TV. Like there's so many things that we do that if we were to really tap into ourselves and be honest with ourselves, we would see that, hey, maybe this is a replacement for something else. Maybe I'm procrastinating on things because I know that if I keep doing that thing consistently, I'm eventually going to change my life and I'm not going to recognize the person that I am. And that's a bit scary. And let's be honest, it can be a bit scary. When you have never seen a particular version of yourself before and you're literally taking steps every day to get there, your ego is screaming and crying and hoping that you will stop so that it can feel safe in the identity that it knows you as. And that's just the truth, okay? It really is the truth. So I'm just really proud of myself for the fact that I was able to catch myself and not do the thing that was a distraction that I knew wasn't going to get me anywhere. And I truly believe that I was rewarded for doing that, because then my training session got canceled and it's like, wow, well, I already gave myself a training session and I plan on giving myself another training session later. And it's just like when you split things up and you don't make it this big, massive thing that you have to do where you haven't been studying for the past 5 days and now you have to do 5 hours of studying today, like that's not going to get you to where you want to go, because it's all about consistency. You build your confidence consistently when you show up every single day and you do the thing that you know you have to do that's going to get you there, okay? You're not going to memorize everything in one day, but if you show up every day for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, split up throughout the day, you are going to get to the end of the week and feel way more confident in whatever material that you're studying versus that cram studying the night before, because you are every day repeating this information in your head. It's becoming muscle memory. That's why it's so important to be consistent, okay? Like you have to show up every single day. You deserve it. And if you don't think you deserve it, think about all the things that you are consistent in your life that isn't adding to your life. You consistently go on social media. You consistently eat food. What types of food? I don't know. That's up to you. It's either hurting you or it's helping you. You're consistently talking about shit that is not adding to your life. Like, think about it. You're consistently doing things every single day. Why not consistently do something that's going to help you in your life? And that's kind of just how I have been reframing it for myself. And in this void that I'm in, I am really recognizing that I truly, truly love exercising. Like I really do. And I really, really love SoulCycle. So this is me getting back to SoulCycle, like I said, that I was going to do at the beginning of the episode. I love SoulCycle. Like I was there today and I am recognizing like I want to be there more. Like I love being a part of that community, and there's just something that it does for me. And I'm really contemplating like, am I going to dive deeper into SoulCycle and become an instructor or whatever? And it's just such an awesome environment for me. And I used to think that I really, really wanted to become a yoga teacher. And I kind of came to the realization that the only reason I even thought that was because years ago, I had a crush on this guy and he had said, oh yeah, like maybe I'll just marry a yoga teacher. And I kind of took that and ran with that and started to dive very deep into my yoga practice. and got so close. When I say so close, like I was signed up, I had all the papers, I had literally everything set in place so that I could do this yoga teacher training. I had gotten a discount on it as well, but I just literally pulled the plug because I think there was something deep within me that recognized this wasn't for me. So SoulCycle, and really just spinning in general, has been a part of my life since high school, like the end of high school. I would go to spin classes at New York Sports Club, and I just had such a great time. Like, I love the music, and you're spinning, and it's like you're going to the beat and all that. And then at a different gym, I was doing spinning, and I loved it. It was so much fun. And then I found SoulCycle at the beginning of this year, and I'm 33 classes in at this point in time, which I think is incredible, honestly. Like, I am really proud of myself, and I think it's definitely possible for me to get to 50 classes by the time I turn 30 on August 15th. So that's like a goal that I have for myself right now. But that aside, I'm like, wow, like I am really doing this. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm meeting more people at the studio that I go to. And it's just such a great time. And I'm like, wow, like if I am really lit up by this thing, maybe this is one of those things that the void is showing me. Like, SoulCycle is a portal to something else. Just like bar teacher training is a portal to something else. It's really this portal into fitness that I'm going in. And I never would have expected when I quit my job, my corporate job that I had for a month, that I was going to go into fitness, but I feel like it tracks. And like years ago, I remember writing something down and saying like, I would love to be like a fitness influencer and talk about all this stuff and health and wellness, because health and wellness has been a big part of my life. And it has been a struggle in my life in a lot of ways, because I have definitely struggled with my own body image, and I've also struggled with my own health, specifically my gut health. And I think a major reason for that is because I haven't been following my gut. Ooh. If you understand what I'm saying there, then kudos to you, right? Because I think when you have an issue in a specific part of your body, it correlates to maybe some spiritual issues that you're dealing with. And I think I was going too much with the crowd. I was caring way too much about what people thought about me, what they wanted me to do in my life. And this is part of me becoming a bitch, right? Like, I don't care what you say about me, babe. I'm doing me. I'm doing me. You should do you. Okay, that's the only thing you can do, is do you and be you. If you're doing or being anything else, it's not going to work and you're not going to make it. Okay, so I am very excited to see where all of this goes. And I just feel like I'm finally in alignment with who I truly am. And I think this is why everything feels like it's crumbling down, why I have this sty on my fucking eye right now, because I am like, I feel like I'm falling apart in a lot of ways, but I'm also falling into place, you know? And maybe I hope you're falling into place as well, because when things spring up in your life and you look at it as an inconvenience, oh, this must mean I'm not supposed to do that, then it means that you are looking for an excuse to stop doing what you're doing. Versus if you look at an inconvenience and you're like, man, this tells me that I'm supposed to do this, because if I wasn't supposed to do this, then obstacles wouldn't come up. I wouldn't be like, I'm still going, I don't care what's going on. And that's kind of the place you have to get to mentally. You have to recognize that regardless of what's happening in your life, you have to think of everything as happening for you, and that whatever you're meant to do, you will do, so long as you keep going. Like, you cannot stop, you cannot quit, because if you'll quit when the going gets tough, you are never supposed to do it. And I know that that's the case for sure, because years ago, I thought I wanted to be a startup founder. Oh my gosh, I'm moving to San Francisco. I want to be a tech founder. But when push came to shove and I recognized that I would have to learn coding and I would have to do this and I would have to do that, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not really me. That was me trying to fit in a mold that was not for me, because I am my own mold. You're your own mold. What are the characteristics of your molds? And you need to ask yourself those deep questions, okay? So we're going to have segments on the show at the end of the show, every show. So right now we're going to do the TBH rant. You can't clarity hack the void. And when it comes to this, you can try to make sense of what's going on in your life right now, but I promise you can't. And until you just surrender into the void and you allow it to just be, that's when your life gets easier, okay? The more you try to control what's going on in your life, the less control you'll actually have, and the more out of control your life will be. What you need to do instead is to literally sit back and allow the void to be. When you allow the void to be, then things will start to come together because you're allowing it to naturally come together as opposed to trying to make things happen, right? Like, it can be so hard to do this, and I'm going through this now, but as much as I want to go out there and do this and do that, and by that I mean I am very much in a trust fall with the universe. I started this podcast. I have been posting a TikTok. I am doing bar teacher training, but I don't really have a stable job anymore because I decided that, you know what, those jobs aren't me. Like, I quit this, yoga studio front desk position that I had gotten. I didn't even fully start. I was supposed to start tomorrow, but I messaged the manager. I was like, hey, like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, it's just not in alignment, because I recognized that that was an old way of being where I was focused on scarcity as opposed to alignment, right? And with alignment, you trust that things are going to work out even though you can't see the way right now. So that's why I'm in this trust fall, and I don't know what's going to come out of this. I know it's going to be something good because it feels aligned, but how it's actually going to show up, I have no idea. And that's exactly what I mean by you can't clarity hack the void. Moving on, hot girl homework or hot guy homework, whatever. Journal prompts for void navigation. So I want you to ask yourself, okay, what is it that scares me about the void? Why do I resist being in the void? Ask yourself those questions, meditate on it, see what you come up with. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in for this first episode of the Bitchy Hour. We're going to get into some more stuff, but for now, this feels like it is done. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to chatting with you again in our next episode. Bye-bye for now.